All right, we're live. All right, family. Thank you for tuning in to the Brothers Tariq. This is a conversation about what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has done for us. I am your organizer. I'm not going to say host. I'm going to say organizer, Brother Tariq Cardiac Muhammad, a biomedical research scientist with Original Man Scientific. And I'm going to let my brothers introduce themselves as well. Go for it, soldiers. We're going to start with the youngest, Fahim. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got you. I'm Tariq Fahim. I'm from Chicago. I'm in the student ministry class here at headquarters. My background is agriculture, and my background is also business.
Beautiful. I'll take it up next. My name is Brother Tariq out of New York City. I am in the ministry in Muhammad Mosque number 7, the heartbeat of the Nation of Islam. My background is in engineering. I'm also a partner of the security company, and I got my hands in a lot of other things, man. But we're gonna keep it light tonight. All right. Praise be to Allah.
Man, many hats.
Underarm with the night.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long night if I don't stop. All right. I'm Brother Tariq, known more appropriately as Brother Tariq Wali S. Muhammad via Facebook. I had to put a whole bunch of stuff on there, because I know people was real disappointed when they was reaching out like, yo, Tariq, and they were actually talking about Tariq from New York to my right now. And I was just disappointing a lot of people. So I was like, yo, I gotta, none of them was looking for me. So I was like, yo, Tariq Wali now. Let's see where I want to start with. My background, I studied paramedicine. I'm a paramedic now for 7 years. Been in student captaincy now. And just your brother from around the way. I'm by way of New York. I'm trying to figure out why I never run into Tariq, or why I can't remember running into.
We got a lot of by way of New York's on the line too.
Yeah. So this is this is full circle for me. Just been striving to soldier, striving to be an example for. Got some nephews out here. I got some younger brothers that striving to uphold the faithful.
Praise be to Allah. Well, I want to thank y'all for joining me tonight. This has been a project I wanted to do since I want to say Holy Day of Atonement last year. It was supposed to have been done right before Savior's Day. Then right after Savior's Day, then the world started falling apart, as some of us like to put it. But I'm thankful that this happened in the time that it was supposed to happen. I love each and every one of y'all as if y'all were my flesh and blood. And it's beautiful to see so many of us of the same name and as what I can see of the same behavior and mindset in terms of being FOI. So I want to thank y'all for joining me tonight. It's a pleasure.
Pleasure's all ours.
Thank you.
All right, family. So this discussion, as I mentioned earlier on, is about what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has done for us. There's a lot of dialogue. Well, I'm not gonna say dialogue. I'm gonna say rhetoric going around about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and him being a so-called anti-Semite. I thought it was very necessary for us to come together as not only Black men, not only FOI, but people of the same name and of the same, like I said, the same goals in life. I want to just ask everyone, first and foremost, how did everyone get introduced to the Nation of Islam? This is a very interesting commonality between all of us. And how has the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan impacted you? Tariq, Fahim, you want to start?
Yeah. Well, for starters, my parents, my mother and my father, they met here in Chicago in Mosque Marion. They both were introduced to the teachings, the first ones in their family. And they met in Chicago at the mosque, and they produced a family. And about when I was 17 years old, I wasn't in the Nation of Islam, but around 17 years old, I made the decision, you know, due to circumstances and events in my life, it led me right into joining and becoming a part of the Nation of Islam. And I can't lie, this journey has been nothing less than amazing. The universal brotherhood that I have, the people I've met, the things I've seen, all of that has just been amazing up until this point. Having the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in his time, joining the ranks when I was young, and being around my peers, and being able to not be above them, but be able to teach them. And they look at me as if I have wisdom, but it wasn't me who had the wisdom. It was my teacher that I was studying from. And it was all building up a testimony for me to this man, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I'm just extremely blessed to be a witness of the Messiah. I'm extremely blessed to be a witness of this messianic work. And I'm just extremely blessed to be a part of this messianic work that's never been done before. So, and it's an honor just to be here with you all, with people, with brothers who have the same first name, but different backgrounds. It's interesting that we all have a different last name or middle name. Mine's being Tariq Fahim, and then yours being Tariq.
Tariq Zain.
So, and it reminds me of what the minister said to me a few months ago. He always told me in a series of engagements that he enjoyed seeing me on the rostrum. And I could never figure out why. I was always thankful that he enjoyed seeing me, but I just wanted to know why he enjoyed me. And when I finally got the opportunity to ask him what did he enjoy about me, he said, because you're unique. And that there's never been one like you before, and there'll never be one like you again. He told me just to be myself, and he said words after that. But I'm saying that to say, all of our names is Tariq, but each and every one of us is unique. There'll never be another Tariq like me. There'll never be a Tariq like you. Even though we got the same names, we all have a part of ourselves that's unique from Allah himself.
Right.
That will never be produced ever again.
Definitely. New York, what's up with you,
Man, how was I introduced to the Nation of Islam? Well, you know, similar to everyone's background here, born and raised by Allah's grace. It actually goes back 2 generations for me. My grandfather was working on the railroads. I think he was doing a graveyard shift from what my family, from what I was, you know, taught kind of growing up or told kind of growing up. And he had met a brother who was in the Nation or who was going to the mosque at the time. And my dad loves to tell his story. He said, you know, I think when he first went, if I'm not mistaken, he went to see Brother Malcolm X. You know, may Allah be pleased with him. And he said that first night, I think after he came back from going to the mosque, my grandfather came in, told my grandmother to throw out all the pork, throw out everything in there with that pork in it. You know, we're not eating that no more. That swine, straight cleaned out the fridge, boom. You know, and so my dad, I believe he was 10 years old when he first went to the mosque, and I believe he saw Malcolm X speak. And from then he wanted to be an FOI. You know, he wanted to join the Nation of Islam. And so my dad was a part of that group who was, you know, when the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad started the fish program and was bringing in the fish from Peru. Him and my grandfather were going door to door selling fish. You know, so I'm blessed to be a part of a lineage where we connect directly back to the first, you know, and so we are able to carry kind of the understanding on, you know, where we were as a nation then and the type of vigor and spirit that we followed the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad with. But my dad would tell me growing up, he says, Tariq, I understand why the nation had to fall. You know what I'm saying? He said because the type of way that we followed him and the type of spirit among the young people at the time were not as genuinely tied to the spiritual portion, you know, and rootedness of the word. You know, he would use my dad would use some other choice words, you know, they were involved in other activities, you know, as opposed to those that, you know, being really adhered to of the restrictive laws. He said, so he understands why we had to make a fall, you know, and then when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan made the stand. So my dad's minister was Minister Louis Farrakhan, you know. So when the minister stood back up, you know, he said he was very cautious at the time, you know, just, you know, trying to see, you know, because when the nation fell, he was in his 20s. So, you know, we remember when we were in our 20s, you know what I'm saying, soldiering hard. Me and Tariq Wali, we riding up and down the East Coast, you know, with all those Farrakhan. And I can't imagine when that just stops outside of COVID, like we see right now, but when that's no more. And you see people coming to the mosque with full goatees and beards and FOI uniform. I can't imagine that, but my dad had to live through to see that. And he said, so when the minister stood back up, he was a little cautious. He moved a little cautious because he wanted to see, man, you know, is this serious? You know, and then he put his heart into it, you know what I'm saying, joined on. And so by large grace, of course, you know, I was from the junior FOI program, which is really my foundation, you know, when it comes to the FOI that I'm blessed to be, was because of the junior FOI program in New York. And it prepared me. And one of the things that the minister taught me, you know, just dovetailing to the second part of your question, Ty, is he taught us how to stand on truth unapologetically. You know, and when I was in Muhammad University in New York, as you know, Tariq Cardiac, and then when I went into public school, you know, you going in, I mean, third grade, you 8, 9 years old, I was just taught everything about everything. There's not much you can tell me, especially about history. So I'm in class, and one of the first book reports I had to write, they said, write about a black figure. I said, say no more. They said, write 2. I said, oh, this is easy. Master Father Muhammad, Mosar Elijah Muhammad. Let's do this. Full page. Boom. Right now. So she gives me my paper back and says, you know, you get points off. I said, okay. I knew my job was flawless. I'm like, points off for what? She said, you didn't put a death date. I said, oh, because they're not dead. She was like, no, they are. I said, no, ma'am, they are not. She said, no, I said, okay, you know, maybe you're not quite understanding. And so I'm talking about an 8-year-old going through a verbal back and forth with his teacher. To where my mother had to come to the school. You know what I'm saying? So my mom had to sit me down. She said, Tariq, you can't expect him to understand the truth that you know. I'm like, Mom, but she's wrong. I like, she's wrong. I don't understand nothing that you're saying to me. So the minister really taught us, even from that young age, how to stand on that foundation of truth. You know, but I can definitely attest to the junior FOI program under Brother Elijah Shabazz in New York. And then growing up, being able to have Brother Alton, Brother Ezekiel, the older brothers who were FOI when we were juniors, they made Islam cool. They made it cool. They made it fashionable. I mean, the suits and study group and drilling, and I mean, them growing as their own selves, just watching them made me, Elijah, Kazim, Bishop, made us all want to go to the mosque. Made us all want to be a part because we had big bros who made Islam look cool. You know, and so that's really, I would say, my introduction to the nation overall. And when it comes to what the minister has done for me, outside of what I mentioned before, he always taught me personally. One thing I always took from him is to settle on the best part. When we look at the people who have been in the face and in the company of the minister, we've seen them in private quarters, and then we see certain things that they say online. But we see the minister, he always settles on the best part of a person. You know what I'm saying? He always settles on the best part. And the side that we're able to see of him, other people don't see. You know, I watched a minister go around his property and show love and bless a family of people who are of Caucasian background, but who worked on his behalf, you know, on his property. I mean, I seen these young 3 white guys just thanking the minister. And he's like, I bless you and bless your family. This is the part that the world doesn't see, but we see it. So they can never convince us of all these titles that they put up of him. It's almost like the entire world is playing the opposite game with the minister. He's really, a person who praises women, but they want to call him, you know, misogynistic. it's like, okay, so y'all playing the opposite game on a minister, you know. So
Right.
we understand the war that's on him, but that's what I can say, Tariq.
Beautiful, beautiful. Wali, what about you?
Yeah, me and T share a lot of the uh, same origins, same names. You know, we still lost everybody on the screen. We still live? All
Yep, we got
Yes,
you, Tariq.
right, everybody back.
good.
I got that. Yeah, you know, but I was born and raised early on in my childhood in Harlem, and that same illustrious Junior FOI squad that brother Tariq Z just shouted out, that was the same upbringing. You know, being 4 or 5 years old, like mom, we're about to go on a detail. But you know, mom, we about to go on a detail. You know.
Oh, we're going to the corner, right? That's it. Corner and back.
Yeah. Simple stuff. Like, but you know, just being a squad like that and just taking pride. I mean, we was walking down the street and back, or walking the block with our briefcases or with our final call, and it was just, you know, that was just easy. You know, people was like that. You know, no matter what you thought about the Nation of Islam, New York is a different. You know, we have different relationships in different cities. New York being one of the most, you know, like to think of themselves as an enlightened group of people. So our connection in the Nation of Islam to the people is there. You know, the minister spent a lot of years in New York. You know, so it's there. But to see the youth, to see 5, 6-year-olds walking the street in ranks, you know, 20 deep, 20, 30 deep, briefcases or final call. I mean, that was man, that's just a memory that I'll always keep, you know, and the brothers that I can recall being there, you know, always be dear to my heart. What got me from there, I'll just start from there. From there, my family moved a few times, and my father being a captain in New York, and I can't remember the year that he was no longer the captain in New York, but I do remember had to be around 92, 93. And I do remember from that point on, he would tour the region. He was dispatched in many parts of the region, one being New Jersey. Started a couple of study groups that later became mosques in New Jersey, Atlantic City, Pleasantville. And so that I grew up just with that. We were just moving, you know. He spent a lot of time, all of our fathers probably, you know, spent a lot of time in knee deep in the work, you know, building along with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. This is now, you know, 10 plus 15 or more years after the initial rebuilding of the Nation of Islam, but this is they're still striding at this point. The minister is still crisscrossing the nation, still crisscrossing the earth internationally, raising up the Nation of Islam and building friendships in all walks of life. So a lot of my younger years, I remember just moving a lot and seeing different parts of the region, getting acquainted with the Eastern region. And I think at the time, I don't remember if the Delaware Valley was separated off just yet. Okay, that part, don't quote me on that. But a lot of trips to Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York, and back. Feel like we were at a point, our nation was at a point where the brotherhood was so strong a lot of these places we were staying with believers. Like believers were opening their homes, just like we hear stories about Savior's Day. Believers would open their homes to the believers coming from across the nation, and we didn't patronize hotels like that. You know, the same was with that when my father was touring the region and being asked to represent the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan or the Supreme Captain in different ways throughout the region. That's how it was, you know. So we just grew up believers. That was our world. There was nothing outside of that world. It was just believers. And then roughly a few years later, we became fairly permanent in New Jersey, again, during the establishment of Atlantic City Mosque and Pleasantville study group at the time. So at a certain point, I can say that I think, well, I can't say if we all have the same reality in this, but the relationship of a son to the father was very, not estranged, but, you know, Pop was moving, Pop was working, you know, and working tirelessly. And it shows even today when we go to Savior's Day, he can't go nowhere. He can't go downstairs to Starbucks for a cup of coffee. He won't make it back up.
Roll ball. Roll ball.
He's like, man, we needed to go over here. He's like, man, I'm trying to get some coffee, man.
OG roll ball.
You know, so for myself, and I'm sure many even off of this podcast can bear witness that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, if you're here today representing him, it's because he became your father. And it's really as simple as that. You know, we had dad, and there was no love, loss, or disrespect at a very younger age. But if you didn't have the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to be in your heart and mind your father, I don't think that you're here today. We have come in with very large groups, junior FOI, FOI. We have soldiered with many for a lot of years. And it's not the same number when you fast forward to today.
Right.
After the COVID-19 pestilence has circulated, you check that number again, it's some have fallen off again.
Yes, sir.
You know, so we're just speaking for myself. I'm here for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I would be one of those lost in the streets, lost in a different lifestyle, living a life other than a Muslim. I would be somewhere else completely if I were not striving and living to make that man proud. And it's strange because on that course, me and my father have become, you know, more, I won't say closer, but, you know, just more, we like friends in this.
Right.
Child might be breaking up.
He's my father. I don't act like, even though, you know, as a young adult coming up, you know, you got to get out that shadow. You got to get out the you know, you got to build that name. You know, you're like, nah, you know, no, I'm not Robo Jr.
Low Robo, right?
You know, I should have embraced it, you know, in hindsight, but it's all good. My nephew Simon came in.
Right, he got it now.
now I gotta fight him for it. And I'm like, hold up, man. Like, you ain't no junior. You know, damn junior. So, you know, that's ultimately that's where I'm at. You know, my place and everything that I've done in service to my nation and inshallah continue to do. You know, I just want to be one that was here and represented the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to the best of my ability. And you know, I want to keep pushing in my mind to make him proud. I've taken that my family is proud of me by Allah's grace permission. I've entered into fatherhood now. One nearly 4 years old, and we have a daughter on the way.
Praise be to Allah. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's you know, that's my story, man. It's simple, straightforward like that. I'm here because the minister very quickly had to become my spiritual father, and that was the reason I was able to come back and take my place in this nation. Because I you know, I want it off. I thought, you know, thought I seen it all, you know, growing up in a Muslim house. You know, you think everything is a little bit maybe too intense, too strict. Think that you being handled a certain way. Our fathers that lived on the road. You know, you think, man, Pop's tripping all the time. You know, and that relationship can be and has become estranged at different parts of my growth and development. But at some point, after fully embracing the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that diverted me from a destructive lifestyle, and then later on, I was able to build a better relationship with my father from the minister teaching constantly us to be better men, and that's it.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. I appreciate that. You know, brothers, my background is very similar to you all's. My family history in the Nation of Islam, I would say, goes back to 1960, I think. It was a few years after the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan had registered. My grandfather, George 35X, out of New York. And if anybody knows my grandpa, he's very stern, was a very stern, strict, fiery brother. He took
former lieutenant?
Yeah, former lieutenant.
Wait, Iceman?
Yeah, that's grandpa.
Oh man, I didn't know that was your grandfather,
you
bro. Yeah. I don't think I realized that, bro. Wow.
Okay. Call his other name, man. Iceman.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't know that was his grandfather.
If you ever met him, you didn't have to question why he was called Iceman.
At all, bro. That was the OG, bro.
You'll pull your coat, your behind to the side and be like, what in the hell are you doing?
He's like, come here. Why's your pants like that?
Right.
I don't know.
Man. Now imagine having that kind of FOI around you all the time. All the time. And I'm not and I'm sure many of us can attest to this, you know, the strictness of the restrictive law is not it's supposed to be a test. It's designed to be a test. It's not something that you're supposed to meet and then do. You're supposed to overcome whatever BS you're doing and then meet that. You know, so dealing with a man like my grandfather, you know, whether I was whatever I was doing. You know, he was the kind of brother that made sure that whatever FOI was around him were FOIs 100% of the time. There was no 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You were always an FOI as long as if he had anything to do with it. You know, so he registered in 1960. He was one of Brother Malcolm's lieutenants at one point. And I think he stayed a lieutenant all the way up until 75 when the nation fell. And then when the nation came back, he became an investigator. And that was what he was for quite some time. And then he transitioned back to Allah in 2017. So may Allah be pleased with him. And
he is pleased with him.
My father, Brother Troy, he came into the nation in 89. And of course, my mother was born into the nation right after my grandfather had registered. And one of the things I didn't have was being able to grow up in the mosque. As much as I've seen the other junior fruit, I wasn't there as much, or I didn't have the same experiences. I was in the mosque, you know, coming up as a young junior fruit, but I didn't have the same longevity, or I just wasn't around like that, you know. And due to circumstances, I'm thankful to Allah that He did not keep me away from it. You know, there were times where Allah presented opportunities for me to come and still be among the brothers, still be among my father, and being able to still practice Islam at home. My mother, even though she wasn't active in the mosque at one point, she still practiced Islam in the home. You know, so the dedication that my grandfather had trickled down into her, making her rooted in Islam enough so that whether we were in the mosque or not, we were able to be Muslims. You know, so I thank Allah for that. I registered for a very unique reason. I was majoring in agriculture and biology at Virginia State University, and I was working with a program, a nonprofit called Seed, and I thought that since the person that was leading Seed was an FOI, that I had to be an FOI to participate. So I made sure that I registered, and I was able to, you know, register. I recited on the Messenger's birthday.
Come on.
And inshallah, you know, on October 7th, it was by the grace of Allah, on October 7th, 2014, I was able to register as a FOI. I was 19 years old, and I thank Allah for that every day. I thank Allah for introducing that brother and that program. Shout out to Brother David. He's a brother that kind of stayed
out of
on
Brooklyn.
my behind. Say that again.
Out of Brooklyn.
Nah, out of Philadelphia.
Out of Philly. Okay.
Yeah, I actually registered in mosque number 24 in Richmond, Virginia, under Captain Al. You know him, Wali. And he was very, Brother Day was very pivotal in me coming back into the ranks, making sure I did everything I needed to do to become FOI, write my letter, all that, this, that, and the third. And here we are today, you know, brothers striving in Islam. 3 of us are married. 1 of us is about to get married very soon.
Come on now.
And I'm proud of y'all. I'm proud of the men y'all became. I'm proud of the men y'all are becoming. And let's move on with the discussion. I know some of us got a little long-winded earlier and told us the entire autobiography.
Say it by name.
Tariq Wali.
We don't learn.
I'm about to take Todd's social security number, man. I'm about to be you.
And I think I'm.
I don't people I talk to like in months. So
like locked away in the dungeon somewhere. God, if you ain't an essential worker, man, you don't know what outside look like anymore.
Facts,
you know, but yeah, brothers. I want to talk about marriage. You know, marriage is, as we're taught, is one half of your faith, and you know it has to have another half to stand firm. You know, so talk about marriage, brothers, and I want to start from the one that's been married. But Tariq, how long you been married, Wally?
7
7 years.
years.
Yeah, we
Okay,
got married same year.
Yeah. He a couple months ahead of me though, so he's my senior.
Gotcha.
Really? Right.
Right? There's a couple, right? Like everything is a couple months apart.
That's it.
Our first children.
That's
Oh,
right.
children too?
Yeah.
Wow.
New York is my senior in by a couple months in marriage, man. We want to hear from him.
The seniors.
Great.
I'm still needing advice, man.
Oh, man.
Wow. All right, New York. So tell us what marriage has been like for you the last 7 years, man. You pulling up on a decade now.
Yes, sir. 3 years from a decade, man. It's been a blessing, bro. Like I truly understand. You know, when you hear that quote growing up in the nation, right? You know, marriage is one half of your faith. You don't get it, right? You say it, you repeat it. You were young student, junior FOI minister, so you teaching it. You don't know what it actually means. You know what I'm saying? You don't understand. The most view that you have of your faith is final calls, bean pies, going on a detail, learning poles, you're drilling. That's what you establish as your faith. You haven't grown enough to understand trial yet. I was blessed to witness Grandmaster Aziz Muhammad. It was a young brother who he's much older now, but he was he was testing for his belt, and Grandmaster gave him his brown belt instead of his black, and he said I'm paraphrasing. He said he has the skill to test for his black. He said, but I need him to go through life first and stay dedicated to the practice of his of the study in martial arts before I give him his black. And I'm standing there like, man, like he wanted him to experience life, to go through the trials that it's going to take in order for him to actually stay faithful to his practice of martial arts before he got the honor of wearing the black belt. And so when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us that in order to be married, you got to be married 50 years to actually be married. You know, and it's like going through marriage. I was blessed to identify a sister that I desired to build a life with pretty early on. And so she one of my best friends from the junior FY class, his oldest sister. So we're like a year apart. So you know, I never thought I had a chance with my wife. You know what I'm saying? Just never thought I had a chance. I mean, that's my man, older sister. Like it's no way, you know, but Allah had other plans. And I noticed she was always a sister who I compared girls in school with in my mind. Like, yo, she cute, but she not like Medina though. She all right, but she ain't like Medina. So she was always that standard because of, you know what I'm saying, how she carried herself, her skill set and different things, you know. But coming through marriage, you know, you learn there's different stages and different tiers, you know. So, and your struggle is going to come in different ways at different times. So the biggest thing is never compare for what you see from somebody else, not your parents, not your grandparents, definitely not your peers. Because as brothers, we can get together on a call like this that's not live streamed, of course, right? And be talking, yeah, yo, my wife, the ex-wife. Like, wait, your wife bring you food? Wait, my wife don't bring. I gotta go get my food. Wait, and so in your mind, you make the comparisons, which is unhealthy because there's things that you do that your wife tolerate that his wife ain't gonna tolerate. And so the reality is that you're establishing a friendship and a relationship of two opposites looking to come together and mold as one unit. So the last thing you want to do is compare to what you've seen. Y'all all gonna come with different backgrounds. You know, but me and my wife both come from Muslim backgrounds, but our lifestyle growing up was different. You know, my dad worked architect. My mom, she also worked. But my mom, like my dad made the money, brought the money home. My mom divvied up the bills. You know, so my dad work gathering, boom, gave it to my mom. My mom managed it. You know, whereas my wife comes from 7 brothers and sisters. Their whole frame was different. You know what I'm saying? My mother-in-law was pregnant most of the time. So my father-in-law had to do a lot of the cooking, the cleaning. He worked like 36-hour shifts. And so when we look at ways that we're trying to come together, she's pulling from her background, I'm pulling from mine. And it's like, you know, we got to now figure this out for us and stop comparing to what we've kind of viewed and seen growing up, you know. But listening to the minister and learning from the minister, you know, he's taught us how to manage our formula. Like, you're going to have your own makeup, you know, looking at Mother Khadijah and the struggles in which she's gone through, you know, being the wife of a man of that caliber. It's like, my Lord, you know what I'm saying? Like, what could I not learn from that union? What could I not learn from that family? And so being able to see the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and his family structure and know that he gave his life, he sacrificed going to Supreme Captain's basketball game or football games to go all across the world and establish friendships and relationships for us, so that my father could be inspired to be an architect and that I could have a family. And so my dad could go to my games. Like, the minister sacrificed so that I could have a family. He sacrificed so that I could be home and raise my children. He went through that sacrifice. And so now, as growing into and learning this marriage at different stages, one of the things, and I'm of course pass it over to my brother Tariq Wali, is that I want to continue to reinvent myself to a degree. And, you know, a lot of times my wife said something. We were meeting with a good friend of mine. She wanted us to be in her book at one point. And my wife said it quick. You know, my wife can have these like quick responses that, you know, sometimes as men, we got to be in tune and kind of read it.
Oh, yeah.
And so my wife said, "Oh, yeah, you get the awake Tariq. I get the tired Tariq." And it was a joke. And then I caught it. I was like, wait, what? Like, and I had to sit back and understand what she means, because a friend of mine, we worked together, and she was my supervisor at the time. So she was saying like, yo, you get the full, vibrant, coffee, you know, awake Tariq. I get the after work, tired, exhausted Tariq. And I'm like, damn, the woman that I chose to build a future with gets the whack Tariq. Like that, I gotta figure that out. You know, there's something I gotta change up there. My formula is off, because I shouldn't be coming into the house and my children get the worst part of me, when we're taught by the supreme wisdom to settle on the best part. My best part ain't available when I get home, which means there's something else I gotta do, whether it's changing my work flow, you know, my spirit, drinking a coffee before I get in the house. I don't know what it is, but you got to figure out a flow so that the woman that you chose to build a life with don't get the worst part of you. And then the last thing that I'll end with is making your, you know, as men, we established a vision. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan taught us that a man who does not have a vision, who does not have a plan, who does not have a goal, does not need a woman. He doesn't need one. One of her main aspects of her development and what she's meant for is to help you develop a goal that you've set for. If you don't have a goal that you've established in life, you don't need a woman. Now you have a toy or a plaything, something that you don't have the proper ability to respect and to manage. So, but a part of that, we also always got to realize is we typically marry Vanguard. We typically marry MGT, sisters who have been moving. My wife worked on the advanced team. She was my counterpart. So she was moving. I mean, to go from that and switch gears into motherhood, bro, that's a tough gear switch. To go automatically from, man, I was doing this, now motherhood. The whole dynamics is different. I'm a wife now. Whole dynamics is different. So now you also got to put into your planning, how do I manage her? Not manage her happiness, because only Allah can give that, but how do I help to facilitate about me building my goals? How do I make her aspirations a part of that? You know, because we can't leave that totally separate. So my wife, as you know, Tariq Cardiac, she's doing a science teacher mom. You know, so a part of my goals is like, okay, how do we make space in the house? How do I complement her goal setting? Because if she loses the life, then I come home and I can say, nah, we doing this as a family. Okay, cool. Now she's unhappy. Guess what? All your plans, It's over. If you think she about to,
you can forget about all that.
You can forget it, bro. You know, play it to the end. It's a wrap. Why? Because if you're the boss or the owner and she's the manager, any of us who worked in corporate America know that the manager, they're gonna make that company successful or not. Because the owner can come, you can dictate what you want, but guess what? Once you leave, the manager, it's all on them.
Right,
so if your wife is the manager of the business in the house and you're not catering to, or at least including her in what it is that you're planning, you're not creating a recipe for success. Mm-hmm. So one thing that the minister taught us in closing the gap was that the woman in this day and age, you know, sometimes she has to work. Sometimes a household required 2 incomes, which means we got to go back into our repertoire and kind of look to see how do I put my mathematical equation together properly so her goals are included and she sees herself in the vision that we're putting forward for the family. Sorry for being long, but that was a couple of things I took from marriage and some of the things I've learned from the minister.
So I slightly different, some similarities, but slightly different. My wife comes from a big family as well, which I enjoy because I don't have come from a big family. I got 3 other siblings, and by the time my parents spaced out, so each of us. So let's see, my eldest brother, the eldest sibling, had to be 21.
Wow.
Maybe by the time I was, old enough to remember things. At 3 years old, I just woke up in a room and everybody was there. Yeah, I remember before that.
Wow.
So it's we had some space between us. The closest was me and the second youngest sibling, my sister Medina. She's 3 and change, 3 years and change older than me. But yeah, brother was already graduated. I want to say at least got some years in college before I remember anything. Now, on the flip side, my wife has 11 siblings, and that's kind of a thing. I enjoy it.
11. Wow.
I enjoy it. I know. When we go visit them, it's like, I'll be in there having more fun than she do.
Right. Same with me, bro. It be lit over there. Party every time. The siblings come
like, y'all the brothers I never had. So a lot of them, at least a few of them in the same, in some range of me, age-wise. So, it's cool. Different environments came together. And another thing, my wife had to completely change her terrain to when she married me. She moved most of her life, been in that rich, large family environment, and then she uprooted and came to help build our reality. Pretty much a fresh start for her completely. Not too far. We could we take a day trip or take some days and go and visit family. But that was a complete change for her. So basically, from the beginning, from the past the infatuation phase of courtship, we had to have very early on established compatibility and a game plan, stemming into how long things were tentatively going to last in one way before we changed the game plan. So it was we spent a lot of time planning. Once we had gotten past the part of, okay, we we could kick it. It's, we good. You got a personality that I enjoy, and so forth and so on. Once we got past that, we had to plan the whole thing out, and everything thus far has either been that or an adjustment to the plan. I made the decision. Shout out to Grandmaster Abdul Aziz, and now Brother Sadiq Muhammad for putting on the national training and making the adjustment to it for the what do you call this how long the DPU aspect of the training, the dignitary protection training, because that's where I met my wife, and I was pretty much determined that I was going to meet my wife there.
Wow.
I had pretty much decided that through guidance, that we got to find the compatibility somewhere. You don't want to start from scratch, and you don't just introduce yourself to sisters and just build multiple relationships. You just make it easy. Start with something that you do. And by the third year of me going to the national training, that at that point I had identified my wife, Sister Rakaya, as a footmate. So from there, again, not major differences, not like she was in the West Coast and I'm in the southern region or the Mid-Atlantic region, within 4 or 5 hours of each other. But still the amount of trust and planning that we had to put into the future from the courtship phase, just to see if we could get past courtship. That was the route we took, and I think that was important for us, because how should I say this? We live, so I'm gonna kind of tone it down. You're gonna meet if your sister is driving in the way of Islam or a brother is driving in the way of Islam, you're going to meet the other, and you're going to look for a physical attraction. You're going to find the comparatives, the similarities. You're going to find the surface dwelling things. We both like these type of movies, and we both like to do this. We got same style. We dress the same. We got the same type of mentality as it relates to this. But at the end of the day, you coming out of courtship have to be very, very clear of the person that you yourself are. So me, I had to be very clear on who I was, and I had to relay that to her, and had to be candid about, at this stage of my life, this is who I am. And if your court mate can complement that and give you can, even in the courtship phase, can help you to culture yourself or give you a just help you become better in some way in courtship, then that's a good indication that okay, we probably can do this permanently, till death do us. So that was the road we took. That was the road we went down, and we had become close to one another in that regard. That we were an improvement to one another, a compliment to one another. I'll say she was an improvement to me. I was probably more of a compliment to her. So that's that's where we started, and that's where we are today. Still planning our parenting, planning out. My wife married me while I was in paramedic school. So she came to my home. Had an apartment at the time, and for at least another year, a little more than a year into marriage, I was going from work, usually third shift, school, sometimes back to work before I would go home and get any rest, because I took on the role of a provider, and that can't change just because I'm in school. We could have waited until I finished school, but that wasn't the game plan that we settled on. So the sacrifice, the willingness to sacrifice, the willingness to sacrifice and be uncomfortable for a little while. I have to salute her for that, because she has an incredible capacity for sacrifice, in our experience. Just on what I told you, uprooting from her family, coming to a place where she was a school teacher, a math teacher. She had not secured that before marrying me and moving in, so there was time, and I didn't depend on her. Oh, you got to hurry up and get this job, man. I didn't depend on her in that way. So she first had to sacrifice the whole year and change of our honeymoon phase, of the time where it says, man, you just got married, man, y'all go somewhere, y'all go on a cruise and go and get ghosts for a while. My wife came in and was willing to sacrifice in order to build our reality to this point that we're in, and continue to build.
Yeah, well work, bro. Fahim, man, I know you're about to embark on the journey of marriage, and you just recently got engaged. So definitely, congratulations, man. And
Thank you.
so what are you looking forward to in marriage, or what have you seen in your future spouse that makes you confident that you'll have a successful marriage?
It was really a prayer that I sent to Allah about a year and a half ago, asking that in my future spouse, that they would help me or bring me closer to Allah. Because I was already on a journey, and I already had a strong desire to be closer to Allah. So when I met her and we had conversations, and I saw in her that she had a similar spirit than I did. We both had a similar time in life where she actually had a similar experience of becoming closer to Allah, where she said she had a vision of the Master, and she said she was in a dark period of her life. She said the Master, it was a crazy dream, she told me. She said he chided her, and she had two ways or two paths to go. One was Islam and one was the world. And she chose Islam. And from that point on, her life began to go a spiral up. But in that same period of time, mine was as well. And I was also striving to be closer to Allah. And in those two periods, we actually met each other at Holy Day of Atonement last October in Chicago. And I had no intent of courting her or marrying her or anything. It was actually one of my brothers who was like, he put dropped the seed in my mind. And
Brotherhood, good for that one, boy.
Put you on.
So I was just like, okay, I had to really think on it though, because when you tread in those waters, you want to be able to make the right decision.
That's right. Muhammad's guard.
And there's so many of us, especially when you're young, it's like you're in a rush to do things. You see other couples, you see other things. You're young,
Right.
you're trying to figure out yourself, and you're trying to do all of these things, and you don't even have your mind made up or in a resolved state where you can even make the proper decisions. So I just wanted to make sure that I was in a resolved state of mind to even make a decision like that. And the only way I can figure that out is I had to be patient with that process. I didn't want to make any hasty, emotional decisions based off infatuation, because in fact that infatuation stage is real. So, continuing to study myself, continuing to study the minister, and continuing to grow my relationship to Allah, it helped me to make the right decision. And man, I made the right decision, y'all. God's grace.
That's a spirit you gotta have.
I do recommend everybody who is either married, engaged, courting, or haven't even courted yet. When you do have your mate or have found your mate, you should get counseling.
That's right.
That's absolutely important from a spiritual advisor. Me and her had counseling with Minister Ishmael, and student Minister Ishmael. He told me, he said, and he says this in like all the weddings he does. He says, he told me, he said, you entered into Allah's garden and you found a flower. And I was like, I never even thought of it like that. And he said he was just going into the nature of a flower and how I am a husbandman or a gardener who picked the flower, and he said how you should take care of the flower, but you have to have the knowledge of the flower that you're dealing with. Does this flower like sunshine?
Oh no.
He'll probably come back in.
Come on, man. He's on a roll, man. Had me.
Yeah, man. I'm
about to say after sunshine.
Right.
Oil, water.
He was about to minister, boy. He was about to turn on the hat. He was in there, man. Yeah.
It's like that, Pop.
Am I back?
Yes, sir.
Man, we was into that, man.
We was like sunshine. Then what?
Right, that sunshine. Do she like a lot of sunshine, or do she like little sunshine? And he was comparing it to like, do she like a lot of compliments? Level of conversation. Do she like talking about the teachings? He was saying, do she like a little bit of shade and a lot of water or less water? He was just talking about the different ways to handle the type of flower that you pick in Allah's garden.
Right.
So the counseling session was amazing.
Yeah.
And it helped me understand a lot about her, because he was asking things that I didn't even think to ask her. One of the things he asked her was, what type of man, did you grow up looking for? And she said that ever since she was a child, she always wanted a man like her father. And I was like, I'm sitting in the chair like, man, I didn't even think to ask that.
Right.
But I already, by Allah's grace, I already complimented that in what she was looking for, because she already made her decision to choose me. And the crazy thing is, when you love a woman, or when a woman loves a man, they have the ability to bring out of you what Allah put in you. And when you're able to recognize that, you know that you made a good choice. And I remember the minister saying that he was talking about the woman and how she should deal with the man that loves her. How the man would just do kind things for you and just do things to make you smile and happy because he loves you. So when I had proposed to her, man, Allah just gave me the thought. I said, I want to do a photo shoot in the garden. And it was a Japanese garden. And she didn't have no idea, y'all, that this photo shoot, she was about to be a fiance. Because it was, y'all know Jay Kareem. photographer.
Yeah.
You know, she loved his photography. But what helped me
That was
to
a
make
good
those
idea.
decisions to make that move and to put a smile on her face, I had to listen to her, you know. And what many of my peers and just us as men, we don't do with our women, we don't listen to them. They tell us a lot of things. All we have to do is just suppress our ego, be humble, and just listen to the voice of Allah in the wind. And it's coming right through your woman. You know, so
teaching, man.
Just to cap that off, it's all been a learning experience for me. I'm learning so much about myself. I'm learning so much about Allah. I'm learning so much about you all. I'm learning so much about the minister and his journey with his wife, Mother Khadijah, and the sacrifice that he has made and what she has made. And, you know, it's a beautiful journey. You know, it's not easy, and I know it's not an easy journey, but it's a worthwhile journey.
That's right.
And I'm excited to be on this journey, just to become one with her. In that journey of becoming one with her, I'm also becoming one with Allah.
That's right.
That's right.
It's beautiful.
Allahu Akbar. Yeah, brothers. You know, marriage. You know, me and my wife, we're coming up on 5 years in December.
Come on.
And I got married literally the day after my 21st birthday.
Wow.
Now, when you're talking about marriage, and you have a bunch of young friends in your age group, the last thing y'all talking about is marriage. And that person sees that, they can definitely see a future with you. So I'm just gonna say those things. But anybody else want to talk more about marriage and what it's done for you?
Man, I mean, I just want to dovetail off of what you said. Well, go ahead, Ty.
No. Good.
No, because that sacrifice, you know what I'm saying? That sacrifice is real, and being able to really sit back and kind of reflect on, you know, the things that's gonna take, you know, for both of you all to really just to be able to, because you got to humble your personal ego, right? And when it comes to the money aspect, that's real. A lot of arguments, a lot of disagreements are rooted from that, you know, rooted from, you know, us as men. We know that we're supposed to be able to do a certain thing. You know, I think I know one bro growing up who married one of my cousins who was like, yeah, Ty, you know, the messenger said we're supposed to have a whole year's salary saved up. I was like, I never even heard that, bro. I'm like, okay. I said, a whole year? Okay. He said, yeah, I had that. Bought the house. I said, yo, bro, you had that? And bought a house? I'm like, good God. I never even thought that was a myth. Never even heard. I never knew nobody, you know? But, you know, so that's a real thing, you know? And one thing that, you know, we got to really understand is the fact that sometimes you have to figure your formula out. Your formula may be different than your brother's, you know, but at the end of the day, it doesn't change what the messenger, the program in which he put us on when it comes to us being the maintainers of the woman. So it's like, hey, I remember my wife, or, you know, used to hear stuff growing up like, oh, what if she makes more money than you and all that? It's like, yo, that's, you know, if that's my formula, I have to deal with that formula. The reality is that don't change my role when it comes to being the maintainer of my family, being able to pay my mortgage, being able to pay my rent or whatever that her goals and aspirations can only complement, you know, what we're putting forward as a unit, because we're coming together as a team. You know, when we begin to see things separately, you know, because shoot, me and my wife just got like a joint bank account like a year ago. You know what I'm saying? Because we function as two separate entities for the past 15 years, you know, before we came together. And so we are just getting into like, yo, we actually got to like be married on paper, yo, outside of, you know, like in functionality. Like, let's get a joint something. Let's both be on the house, like, you know, get life insurance. Like, let's do these things, you know, because, you know, when you begin to really see these things growing up, these are the conversations that we typically don't have, to be honest with you. You know, growing up in a nation you don't really have these type of conversations about, all right, yo, when you get married, you get a joint bank account. When you get married, you don't have that. You have, when we rolling at this time. You know what I'm saying? They tell you to get married. We're told to get married,
Right.
Typically, like, you don't break the law,
No
get
marriage
married.
classes.
Right. That's kind of how the conversation goes. You don't break the law, get married. It's like, all right, cool. I don't want to get put out, so I'm gonna get ahead and get married. But the truth of the matter is that the things that typically start to draw us apart is when those finances come, and it gets real, and we as men are trying to, we're striving our best to work as hard, but we're not willing to open up the books because we don't want to show the area in which we're falling short. When she may have gone to school, like I think somebody said their wife used to be a math teacher. She may be better at numbers. Like my mom was a mathematician kind of growing up. So my mom's math skills are very advanced. So my dad and their formula must have figured out that, yo, I'm gonna make the money and you divvy it up, you figure it out. Whereas in my house, I'm a little more Excel based. So I manage all of the family's finances from an Excel sheet. Every month I go to the date, boom. These are the bills I gotta pay, boom, boom, boom. So it just works out like that. But the reality is sometimes we gotta humble ourselves. If it ain't going right, yo, we gotta really talk about where the family is, because the reality is that in order for us to have a strong nation, it's built off of strong communities. Those communities are built off of strong families. We cannot have these strong families if our marriages are not strong. So platforms like this, us building as brothers in general, and not just amplifying each other's BS. Like my boys know when they call me, I'm not going to tell you right. I'm not going to tell you right. I'm going to tell you what you need to do, inshallah, through the messenger's teachings on what you need to do in order to solve the problem that you got. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, yo, you right, yo, she do be acting crazy. Okay, and every woman's crazy. Thank you. You just saw the Da Vinci Code. We ain't nowhere. We crazy, they crazy, everybody crazy. But that's beautiful that we get to be crazy together. You know what I'm saying? So, that I just wanted to amplify that point, Ty, because it's real. You know what I'm saying? But we got to really begin to understand, like, what are those elements that we've seen start to draw marriages apart? Because we're seeing it. It's becoming rampant through our nation, through the world, through Black America. And we got to begin to nip this thing in the butt, because we can't think we're going to have a strong nation of Islam and we don't have the ability to hold our marriages strong. We've got to really do a better job.
Yeah. I was just gonna speak on add something to that's kind of been on my heart as a nation, and I pray Allah that I'm using the three of you all's popularity to to reach the audience that I want to reach.
Popular.
Nobody know me.
I pray Allah that, if nothing else, I do a good job of promoting Muslim marriage to our young brothers, that's coming up behind us. I got several nephews, either 20 or entering into the age of adulthood, already in the age of adulthood by Islamic customs. And young brothers that yourself and I, we've been in capacities where we govern or facilitate activity.
Yes, sir.
For large crowds of our younger brothers. And what I want is for marriage in Islam to be cool again, because it seems to me that it's gotten a little bit misplaced. That the youth coming up, generally speaking, are not looking at developing themselves, to be qualified for marriage, at a young age, starting to save up, the things that the brother that you mentioned, saving up year worth of salary. That's crazy. I don't even know how he did it. Like, I need to know who that is. But but you know,
on this platform, but I'll text you later.
yeah, I'm waiting for a text. I just texted you. Nah, but young brothers and sisters in the Nation of Islam, though it may seem different in our minds, but we did not invent male and female relationships. Neither us on this platform nor you are the pioneers of male and female relationships.
No,
So
sir.
do yourselves a favor and consult and follow the directives given to us and the guidance given to us by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the things that were set in motion by the Master Farrakhan Muhammad. We got to stop thinking that, you know, oh, that was yesterday, you know, we in a different time now. You know, we got to, you know, yeah, it's social media out here, but there's still our way. And our way doesn't change, you know, just because technology advanced or because, you know, Satan's world has changed in some way. We have a documented, tried, and proven way of entering into courtship and marriage. A lot of us are giving our best years to, I'm trying to be politically correct, but we playing around in our best years. Our greatest years, our most youthful years, are spent just not focusing on our future and building that future with the sister. I'm sure of it, you know, because the caliber of brothers that you are, you know, I feel like most of us, well, soon to be Brother Tariq Fahim, have entered in some business venture or built some business with our wives or made a business plan with our wives. If you haven't, you know, then this is a part of the growth process. It is still our teachings that we do for self. So while we are working, you know, if we were on the FOI class and we heard the Supreme speak, you know, he mentioned about in 1989 the Steal Away program and in '98 Exodus. You know, we're supposed to be building a different reality. You know, it's not. I'm fully embraced that it's not my role in life to continue jumping off in and out of ambulances for the rest of my life. That even now is at dangerous levels that I'm considering. You know, you gotta restructure the game plan on some things because we're, you know, in a time where, you know, sickness is rampant. This pestilence is rampant. So, having said that, you know, putting ourselves in position, getting securing a stable income, staying on that job, or building, you know, a business if you want to do that solo, if you already have the business plan for that, and you know, whatever it is that you're doing for income, stabilize it and support yourself outside of your parents' house for a year. Supporting, you know, being able to support yourself is the first step of being able to support a family. So all this preparation and us, you know, we in an era of getting money. You know, we in a get money era. But just to get money though, like we just getting money just to get money, and it's like, man, you gotta secure your future. Young brothers in the Nation of Islam, do not spend your best years, your most youthful and productive years, chasing BS, chasing and not establishing anything. establish yourself and start building your future. Qualify yourself for courtship and for marriage, because a lot of us like to, just point the finger, whether we be brothers or sisters, but it's these sisters is such and such, or these brothers is such and such. Nah, it starts with you. You can't attract the top flight, MGT off of the details, the number one, whatever that, however that ranking system would be. It's subjective, but you can't pull the top sister in the nation, the most steadfast Muslim in the nation, and you still got so-called Negro ways, man. With your
Right.
finances, with your spirituality, we have to grow into the best Muslim that we can be, and Allah will gift us. Will give us that our. I'm a firm believer in that Allah will give you what you deserve if you strive hard in His way. Excellent is the reward of the workers. That it says that in the Quran. So, I just want to really use this platform, to really push this one segment, push that on our young brothers and sisters. Go through the courtship process properly, and don't think that you stop thinking that we know better. We don't know better. This was not we were not. A lot of us still, even doing a righteous courtship, have missed a step or two in the courtship process, the way it was given to us. So it's not here for us to work around. It's here. It's an example, and it's here for us to utilize so that we settle on the best choice for us and who we are, and that we qualify ourselves for the best choice, so we can stop, being around, stop playing around out here, brothers and
Right.
sisters. Right.
Yeah, that's a big point. I want to make a comment on something you said, Brother Tariq Wali, earlier about meeting your wife in the work. I'm a big advocate of that. I'm a big supporter of finding your potential spouse in the work that you do. Both my wife and I are very active in the Ministry of Health and Human Services. You may see some of the brothers and sisters with the green sashes on and Savior's Day and whatnot. They got they medical kits on their bag. Some of us are wearing stethoscopes or what have you. And that's one of the things that we do in the nation together. I love being in that kind of environment with her. Both of us are future physicians. She currently is a EMT. I'm a research scientist, but our goals and our futures line up with each other. And that's one of the things you want to look at when you're choosing a spouse. What are some of the commonalities or some of the things that y'all have in common in terms of a career choice? What do y'all like to do in the nation? And the non-ministries is the perfect place to do that. And being, actively engaged in three of them, I can definitely say that building your nation as well as securing your nation and helping to contribute to your nation, whether it's via children or volunteering or whatever you're doing, that is one of the most important tools to building not only finding a spouse, but building your marriage so that it remains successful. So I just wanted to say that. But brothers, it's been an honor talking with all of you tonight. I didn't want to go too long. One of the things I wanted to ask y'all, I'm sure everybody on this line knows what their name means and how important it is in the overall history of the Nation of Islam. Mother Tanetta, she wrote a book called The Comer by Night.
That's right.
And it represents the star-piercing brightness, the one who came and knocked on the door in the time of darkness. And I know we're still growing into our manhood and into what it is to be an FOI. But I want to ask each of you, how have you been able to see what your name means in your life? How have you been able to act on the purpose of your name and what it means, and how are you able to apply it to your everyday lives? Or have you seen it as you've grown into the men you're becoming? I'll start with the youngest on that one.
Me?
Hey, now.
I keep picking on my brother Fahim, man.
Well, Honorable Elijah Muhammad said a star is a witness bearer. So I see myself growing into that name by becoming a stronger witness bearer of the Messiah. And that's the only way I could really put it. During the COVID-19 pandemic, I already knew, but I'll say it very frank, I'm a believer. You know, I'm not the type of person who will say in a conversation, man, when that time comes, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm a believer. Allah's already showed me that I'm a believer. He's put me through certain trials and tribulations. And I've been so resolved in those by Allah's grace that when I came out of that trial, I said, I'm a believer. And I have a testimony. So the star of piercing brightness, that's an attribute of Allah given to the messenger of Allah, who's a star in a world that is dark. And what makes him a light is not only is Allah present in his life, he has a word that can give life, light, and power to those that it touches. So since I'm blessed to have that attribute, and since we are blessed, we also become little stars. We also become little witness bearers. And we also become little messengers of God. Because we all know the message that came from the messenger of God. So now we all have a responsibility to not hide our light, but we have the responsibility to share our light to those who may be in darkness. So it's a hell of a task, but it's a beautiful responsibility to have. And I think that Allah is going to use me specifically to spread the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad further in the world. I'm learning different languages, the language of Nihon or Japanese, because in the future, man, we're going to be little ambassadors for the Nation of Islam. It's not just regulated here in America, man. We're going all around the world. And we're qualifying ourselves for positions that are awaiting us. And we have to, and now we're in a study, and we have to take this study very seriously, because you don't know where Allah is going to put you tomorrow. 5-6 years ago, I didn't know I was going to be in a ministry class here at headquarters. I didn't know that. That wasn't my plan. That was Allah's plan. So, man, we just qualify ourselves to be little stars, and Allah put us in places that we never even imagined. Y'all see I got passionate towards the end?
Allah.
Towards the end.
Come on, bro.
It's like the minister in that Bob Wallace interview, right? He said, "Oh, excuse me." Excuse me. He said, "Oh no, that was good. That was good.
Yeah, it was good.
Right. What you're behind."
Yeah.
Tell him that.
I look crazy.
Oh man, I guess we're going in order, right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Man, Josh, fool.
What's that?
Man. Oh yeah, go ahead, Ty. Go ahead, Ty.
You older than me, right?
No.
Don't even play.
But
that,
no,
bro.
go ahead.
Don't even.
You can take.
I mean, he I want to save him because he's really the greatest anchor
No.
of all time. If you ever sat and heard this brother anchor a discussion,
No,
I just
sir.
want to get mine out the way so I can listen to
He
it.
gonna take over.
Oh, praise to Allah now, man.
You know, for me, I truly believe that I am cut from a similar cloth of. I researched my name, you know, and I find myself to be of the same nature and cut from the cloth of a commander of Muslim army in the conquest of Spain and Portugal, Tariq ibn Ziyad.
Right.
Um, in the in his conquest of the of what is known as Spain and Portugal now, we all should know this part that he reached the coast at the foothills of the mountains of that of where he was sent to conquest, known now as the Rock of Gibraltar, aka Mountain of Tariq. That's so I heard. But he took a little over 7,000 troops to face an army of 100,000. And the only, when they reached the foothills of that mountain, before getting into strategic command of that conquest, was one simple act, which was to burn the boats. And either we conquer them or we die right here trying, fighting for Islam. And that's really me. That's I mean, when I read about it, when I heard about it, that feels like me. Not that I'm a star in this thing, like, you know, I'm not the star like that. I'm not Hollywood with mine. But you might remember if should I conquest, should I be sent to conquest? You may hear this story over and over again, no matter what happens. I'm fully embraced that if Allah blesses me to be such, that I would gladly accept the role of martyrdom in the cause of Islam. And that resonates in my soul. Like, I'm not, you know, out here I'm not crazy. I follow the instructions that, you know, we're in the military. I'm not a jump out the window kind of guy or a hothead or anything like that. But I am settled in my heart and soul that to be a martyr in the cause of Islam is such an honorable place that I would gladly accept, fighting for truth, for freedom, justice, and equality. Should my life expire or be given to that, that's for me. If Allah blesses me, if Allah pleases. So by that sentiment and that, you know, where I'm at with that, I mean, that to me, it represents the star of piercing brightness. That I may be known as one of the stars of heaven that are not taken down by the dragon when he curves his tail. That I may be able to give my life along with 299 others before 5,000 havoc-wreaking angels coming and aid to the destruction of Satan's world. Man, that's, if Allah pleases, that's for me. In whatever form, I don't even know what form that would take in, but that's how I see the meaning of my name in regards to my place in Islam and my place on this planet by Allah's grace and permission.
Well, brothers, and I just want to clear something up. My name is not really Cardiac. I get that a lot. People ask me, is your middle name really Cardiac? And I was like, no, I put Cardiac there just to kind of
for the medical connection.
Like, that's the thing, man.
I put that together, Ty. Don't worry about it.
My mind is blown.
Man.
Like, they knew he was gonna be a doctor. And this boy, Cardiac.
Right. So many Tariqs in the nation, and I wanted to kind of differentiate myself from so many of us that are in the nation. Matter of fact, there's just so many of us in the world. Period. And the cardiac was just to denote the type of medicine I'm involved in, which is cardiology. And when you look at chapter 86 in the Holy Quran, at Tariq, when you look at one of the surahs, one of the ayats, and it talks about I'm paraphrasing, he was created from fluid emerging from between the backbone and the rib. If you think about something that ejects fluid, or an entity that ejects fluid from between the backbone and the rib, that describes the human heart. And when I saw myself and what I was studying in the Quran, I knew I was in the right place and I knew I was on the right track. And I think for me, being able to understand what your name means coming from the Quran, from the book that we are supposed to be living by, that really sets the standard, or sets the activity for your life when you're able to see your name and yourself in Islam. Islam is not just your governing body, but when you're able to see who you are and you're literally governing yourself, as a God in your life, that's what the meaning of my name has meant for me. Being able to scientifically pinpoint where Tariq falls into the spectrum of the universe. So I just want to say that's my overall bear witness of how Tariq, or what that name means and what it's supposed to do for somebody that has that name. So I encourage anybody with the name Tariq to really look deep into your Islam, find yourself as it relates to that name, and you'll know for sure that you're on the right track. So, brothers, I appreciate y'all. Is there anything y'all want to leave the people with before we go?
Brother Tyler,
Yeah. We need the sermon. We need that. Yeah, we need Tariq New York to anchor the joint.
Is there anything y'all want to promote? Like any projects you're working on, any events, anything like that y'all got going on?
I do have I have the website and the business that me and my wife been working on together, and that is Greenville Peace and Progression. We're a paper company, paper distribution company. So essential. I'm both an essential employee and an essential supplier, essential needs supplier. Thank Allah much during the first wave of that pandemic, when you couldn't find no tissue on the shelf in no stores, we were still able to fill orders and facilitate households. Believers I always reached out to first, and let them know we still got supply, and we were able to carry believers and many others, our people and anyone else who had a need. They could go on the website and have bathroom tissue and disinfectants and cleaners and various paper products and light cleaning supplies sent directly to their homes, and they didn't have to go fight in the store for pack of tissue that was coming you know, every so often, you know. So that has been the major focus of my family, of continuing to build that out in effort to steal away from, you know, working, you know, or in the effort to do for self, as the teachers have asked us to do. So again, Greenville Peace and Progression. That's on Facebook. The website is Greenville Peace and Pro. No, I'm sorry. Greenville PNP. That's greenvillepnp.org. So I encourage all you brothers to pass it on to your families and friends as well. Continue to support Black business.
Yes, sir. Before we continue, family, brother Tariq, New York, I apologize, beloved. We didn't get a chance to go into what your name means for you in your life. So I apologize, beloved. Can you
No problem. And I'll be quick. 'Cause I know we on a time constraint. Man, similar to you, all of you all, you know, that's something that I've reflected on quite a bit. Anytime, and I really thank Allah for my parents, and I think it may have come from my dad naming me, because it always made me kind of dive into that particular chapter, study more, and start to establish like who I had to be to the world. And every time I read it, you know, it's kind of like that part in I don't know if you ever seen the movie 5 Heartbeats. Yeah. When Duck was getting the award, he said that a great writer told him one day that he would become a better writer when he went through more pain, went through more in life. And it's kind of like when we hear the minister talk about every time he reads Message to the Black Man, how he gets more out of it, because every stage in where he's reading it at, he's at a different point in his life. And so every time I've dove into the chapter, when I read it when I was 15, I didn't know what half the stuff I was reading was talking about. When I read it at 21, I read it differently. When I read it, I always read it trying to figure myself out, right? Because when I read it, I'm like, man, you know, by the heaven and the coming by night, and what will make thee know what the coming by night is, a star piercing brightness. So I always had to figure out, I'm like, okay, that means as my role and where I'm trying to play a function, because the minister teaches us that a name is a function. You're supposed to play a particular function in the world. So I have to be able to function at a time of darkness. You know, when things are dark, when times get dim, when it looks like things are at an end and no one can figure things out, you have to still be able to function. And myself and brother Tariq have been blessed to function and work with brother Sadiq Muhammad out of Chicago, and he's taught us through the years on how we have to be able to think through adversity, think through times of struggle. And so, as you know, reading that chapter, I always had to figure out that through these times, I have to be able to function and think. Growing now, I read it different. When the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said to us, he said in one of his recent lectures, he said, you don't know me. And he said that you can't properly see him unless you see him through the scripture. And so when I read that now, I said, wow, it's an honor to hold a name that points us to understanding the minister deeper. Because when you understand that he is the star piercing brightness.
That's right.
Because he's coming at a time of darkness where he's piercing through. See, when you piercing, you stabbing, you opening up a way. You disturbing the construct a little bit. Because there's something that exactly you are what they call in a business word emerging technology, right? The technology that comes forward that shakes up the market a little bit. You know what I'm saying? That disturbs things, that, you know, that affects other markets. When the iPhone came out, it established the market of the iPhone case. It established screen protectors and all of these things that didn't exist. The iPhone brought that into the world. And so when he's a star of piercing brightness, he's making a way for something, a new world order, a new world carrying on his shoulders that he is to bring into this world. And so it helped me understand the minister. And at the portion that you rolled out, Tariq Cardiac, where it says he is created of water pouring forth, coming from the back and coming from between the back and the ribs, shows that he's a man. It shows, it's talking about that canal, it's talking about he came from a man. So this star that's supposed to shine, and when we know and we understand that a star is a sun of its own right, it's just a little further, which means I can't see it for who it truly is in my limited understanding, but it's truly a sun in its own right. But it's a star of piercing brightness, which means it's coming forward to bring us a certain level of light through a time of darkness. And so when we see the world that we're in today, and the minister says that y'all don't quite know me. Y'all don't quite know who I am to this world. And he said, when we begin to understand him, he said, we won't even be successful in our ministry unless we're teaching who he is. Because the reality of who the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is, when we're able to come in tune with that, it opens our minds up to who we can actually be, because we can only complement God's man in this time. We can only complement the reality of who God is, because we know that our success is aligning our mind with God's mind. And so when we know that we're walking with the man of the hour, and I can align with that man and what his aspirations are and what he wants from us, I mean, what can we not accomplish in the name of Allah? And so just to be honest, Ty, growing up, I was always trying to see my function in that name. And now at 30 years old, reading it, when I read it this Ramadan, I said, oh man, Ty, you've been a little selfish. You thought you were special. Nah, you were blessed with that title. You were blessed to wear that name. So it drove you deeper into the study on who that man named Farrakhan truly is in this time. But thank you for allowing me to respond to that, Ty. Appreciate that.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. I just love I love talking to y'all, whether it's on the whether it's in this platform or whether it's on a personal level. I first met Wali at 10-10-15, and you approached me and you said, Tariq, I'm Tariq. I was like, what you mean? I was kind of bombarded because I was trying to figure out where I knew you from. And when you said, Assalamu alaikum, Tariq, I'm Tariq, and I was like, I put two and two together, and it was just I got a beautiful sensation from meeting you and being able to build with you that day. And of course, Tariq, in New York, I kind of grew up with you, junior for Y class, and I remember me always being taller than you, and how you was older than me.
Still
taller, right?
Still to this day.
No, I'm up to 6'5" now, almost 6'6".
Oh,
And
still growing, bro. How old are you?
You gonna
It's time to stop, bro.
Is it too late, folks?
I'm 25 now. I'm done. Trust me. Don't even speak that into the air, brothers. I'm done. Don't even try to say I'm still grown, nothing like that. I am.
You gotta be 7 feet tall.
Compared to you, yeah.
13, bro.
But yeah, y'all, I love y'all with a passion, and I respect y'all and everything y'all doing. Fahim, you got anything going on that you want to let the people know about? Any projects? Anything going on?
No, not at the moment. I would just say to the people, just to go back and hear the criterion from the Honorable Minister as far as
Absolutely.
Dissect and parse that. That's the project.
That's it.
Because what's going on right now, I just saw Wuhan having a pool party last night.
They done.
Said that is going to get worse.
It's over, bro.
That means we haven't been listening, so we got to go back because his words are unfolding every single day, and we're blessed every single day. We're blessed to live. We're blessed to see those words unfold to an ultimate conclusion. Pray to Allah that we all will be able to get through that time and be piercing stars of brightness through that dark time. But no, that's it. That's the project that I'm working on, man. I just got to parse that some more.
Yes, sir.
To study that.
Wow.
I'm glad I got this opportunity to tell you to your face that I enjoy your ministry on Sundays, your student
Absolutely,
ministry.
Man.
I haven't been up there in a couple months.
Yeah, it's been a little minute, man. Well, I know when you first started going up, I just had people turning around looking at me.
What I'm saying? Yeah.
Like, yo, it's not me. I'm here.
Right.
Obviously, there's another Tariq.
I had to remember
It's not me. Like, why y'all looking at me like I'm about to walk? Like I'm about to teleport to Chicago to speak.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I was taking it in. I was getting all of that. Like, you know.
Finally, a minister Tariq.
I'm standing in the back, like.
Nah, yes, sir. You've been doing amazing, brother. Absolutely amazing.
It's crazy because when you were speaking during the Sunday meeting one time, I was on post, and my captain with the minister was something. I think it was a Holy Day of Atonement on one of those. I think the minister was speaking, and he said, "Good job," or it might have been during. I can't remember when it was, but he said, "Good job, brother Tariq," and that you're doing a good job in the ministry.
The believers meeting.
Right. And brother Captain, my brother Captain, now he walked by me and said, "Good job," you know, in response to what the minister was saying about you, you know. So I'm telling you, man, you're doing a phenomenal job, and if there's anything I can do to help, man, praise be to Allah. All right, brothers. I'm not going to promote anything. You know, I just wanted to just embrace my brothers, see what y'all got going on.
What I would do, Ty, if I could, you know, I don't have anything in particular right now. Personally, I want to promote, but you know, my wife does the science pack. So anybody that's watching, my wife is she's starting a small business where she's providing science packs for. I'm about to laugh. I know the age groups. All I know is my youngest son is 3, and she goes all the way up to like middle school age, but she's been able to, you know, certain experiments. She's a science teacher, so she's been doing experiments with the boys during this time of COVID. And people started to see, you know, she supplied some free packs to her nieces and nephews, and then it began to pick up. So she has wonderful, she's a teacher, so the content that she puts together is user-friendly for the parent to take the child through the lessons, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, I enjoy when I'm at work going on Instagram to see what experiments they did for the day. And whenever I come home, I ask, like, "Yo, Issa, what y'all do today?" "Oh, Daddy, we did slime." And then I got to look at my wife and say, "All right, what exactly did they do with the slime?" Because I don't want to clean up things in areas that I didn't know was going to be there. All right, but it's but yeah, so I definitely encourage anybody with small children, middle school age, or you know, all the way down to 3. She can tailor it, and I think she's gonna be supplying some of the MUIs at some of the different schools, especially for next school year. So definitely big up to Science Teacher Mom on Instagram, I think, and on Facebook.
Praise be to Allah.
Yes, sir.
Could you real quick? What's the contents of a science pack?
So it's different experiments that's within each pack. So she has a space box that has different things that has to do with I think the solar system. So within each, she has an agricultural one where the scientists, as she calls them, which are the students, you know, they're planting certain things, and they're, you know, certain activities where they go out with a magnifying glass and they're looking for sedimentary rocks and different things. So it begins to spark their mind to function as a scientist, and you learn as a parent too. I mean, I'm coming to the house, they teach me about set. I'm like, Dad, I forgot about set. So what makes it sedimentary? I'm like, I should know this, but you know, learning from them is a blessing. So, but yeah, each pack has its own set of experiments, and I believe it's 4 lessons within each pack. So you have enough to really fill up the week if you want to, you know, kind of divvy it up per that week, you know, for your child. All right, today we're going to do this. Tomorrow they got this to look forward to, and they seem to really, really enjoy it and they're learning. So, you know, with the children staying home, potentially most schools next school year, you know, it's going to really be, you know, inshallah, a great asset to have for a lot of at-home, you know, families who will be managing their children from home.
And what's the best way to get some of those packs?
So you can go on scienceteachermom.com.
Science Teacher Mom.
Yep. Or on Instagram as well.
Yep.
She's on Instagram as well. Yes, sir.
My wife will be all over that.
Come on now.
All right, brothers. Well, once again, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Tonight. It's getting a little late, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up.
Yes, sir. All right.
Praise be to Allah. I definitely want to do this again because there were a lot of things I didn't get a chance to touch on, thanks to our beloved Tariq Wali. You know, I'm gonna let you have it, brother. You know,
yeah, you gotta do that.
Oh,
You know, y'all be having. I know y'all be having conference calls. You know what I'm saying? So, y'all be talking.
I get all of this. Right
They
now.
decided to throw me in there like I ain't got 4 months worth of stuff to say, man.
Come on now.
I meant to ask you, man. You know, and I don't want to kind of dwell on this or anything like that. But I meant to ask you, you know, when did you become a captain?
Very shortly before I met Tariq New York, or shortly after, roughly about 2011. 2000, right at the, I want to say, Holy Day of Atonement 2011, which, if I'm thinking correctly, was in Philadelphia. I had become the captain leading up to that push. You know, the brothers going back and forth to Philly selling tickets and stuff. I think I'd become the captain right about then. You have to fact check me on that, on whether that's the day, but I want to say 2011 Holy Day of Atonement drive was my introduction to the captaincy.
Got you. I asked that question, you know, because, you know, it's refreshing to see young leadership, you know, and I encourage any young brother, any young sister in the ranks to seek, you know, leadership, whether it's, you know, it doesn't have to be a captain or minister, but some type of leadership. It helps you grow.
Absolutely.
You know, and even if you don't want to be in a leadership position, definitely learn as much as you can from those who are leaders, because the things that they have and the jewels that they have can help you become a better Muslim, you know. So I admire Brother Tariq Wali a lot. I look up to you a lot. And,
I know I'm gonna try not to be long-winded, but I do want to say right what you started to say about putting yourself to learn from a leadership, you know, to put yourself in ministries or to shadow your student captain, to secure your student minister. That would be being the best follower, being the best Muslim, being the best soldier, which ultimately is you know, a follower, you know, following instructions and doing that is what you want to be. And then the thing I tell brothers all the time, there's a few moments in life where you are going to be pointed at, called on, and asked to perform something that you've never done, and to succeed at it. Be ready for that moment. Be prepared for that moment, because it's not gonna. You can't say no. That would just be weird, you know. You can't just, you know, shy away from it or duck and dodge and stay out the mosque and only show up once in a while so that you don't get called on for that reason. You know, don't just follow, just study, just soldier hard, and if Allah pleases, for a certain time and reason, you could be put in a position of leadership. But if you don't know how to follow, and if you're seeking leadership, oftentimes you don't know how to follow. And this position of leadership is still subordinate to many other levels of leadership, locally, regionally, and nationally. You know, so it's you gotta be that strong soldier and humble follower that you continue to grow and learn.
praise be to Allah. Well, once again, brothers, thank y'all for joining me tonight. This has been an excellent discussion. I definitely want to do this again. Absolutely. Definitely want to do it again. Maybe early next month or around the same time next month, and just have more conversations, more discussions, invite more Tariqs in the conversation.
Yeah.
and being a little bit more, just building, developing things with each other, going into business with each other, doing something other than, saying, okay, we're fellow for a while. Let's do things together, just off the fact that we got the same first name,
So bad.
I love y'all. May Allah continue to bless y'all.
You too.
Matter of fact, brother Tariq Fahim, can you close us out in a small prayer?
Yes, sir. Attention prayer. O Allah, we beseech your help and ask of your mercy. For we believe in you and trust in you for all that we need. We are helpers in your cause with your apostle. Please, O Allah, grant to us success. Ameen.
Amen.
All right, guys. Allah bless y'all.
Like Islam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Love y'all.
Love you too, soldier.